Hello, it's my Eurovision 2020 Top 41 countdown, places 9 and 8. Welcome to Matt Loves Eurovision. As always, please do click on that subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and do like, share, and comment below. So for places 11 and 10, I had 2 female singers. For places 9 and 8, it's 2 male artists. And we also have an appearance from a Big 5 country, although it's not the last Big 5 country in the countdown. So at number 9, it's United Kingdom, James Newman, My Last Breath.
If you had nothing left, I give you my last breath.
So UK is my home country, and so perhaps there's a little local bias in this getting into the top 10, but I do think this is deserving of a high placing. At the time of the release, there was a huge amount of speculation, shenanigans, leaks, all sorts of fun and games, which always seems to accompany the reveal of the UK song, and I talk a little bit about that in a previous video. But in the end, in the shape of James Newman, the UK ended up with an extremely likeable entry, and one who has a very strong music pedigree, particularly as a songwriter. He's written for all sorts of people. He's also got, he is the brother of John Newman as well, who has had a very successful musical career. The song itself, My Last Breath, is very definitely a catchy song. It's very radio, or perhaps I should say Spotify friendly. And to my ears, at least, it has a very British music or British pop music sound, which I think for the sort of thing that you would want to get at Eurovision. And I do think that's the direction that the UK needs to get back to and persevere with. The music video was very slick. It featured the Iceman, who's also Dutch, Wim Hof, someone James had a connection with prior to the song and video. And I do wonder what would have happened with staging in Rotterdam. Now, it's safe to say that the UK hasn't done brilliantly when it comes to staging, perhaps aside from Lucy Jones. Would Wim Hof have appeared on stage? There's all sorts of rumours from UK fans about what was planned, but UK fans do tend to be both over-optimistic and also overly cynical at the same time. I don't know, in terms of how this would have done, I don't know whether would this have dragged the UK out of the bottom 5, possibly. I do think, like Lucy Jones, it would have got more love from the juries than it would have got from the televote, I suspect. We don't know if James will be representing the UK next year. The BBC do tend to keep people guessing until quite late in the day. And then we do know that the partnership that they formed with BMG in terms of searching for the artist and developing the song is planned for at least 2 or 3 years. It's a sort of an ongoing project. So given that and the ongoing sort of wider public health concerns, and I would imagine we will be going with an internal selection again next year. And with that BBC BMG partnership, I'm not sure they would necessarily go with the same artist again. Nevertheless, the BBC did a lot of a really nice behind-the-scenes documentary with James in the run-up to Eurovision. And of course, it became all the more poignant because it kind of covered the run-up to the cancellation and the moments that sort of after that. So, which is definitely worth a watch if you have access to that. At number 8, it's Czech Republic, Benny Christo, Kamala. So I've been a big fan of the Czech Republic's entries since their return in 2015, and their entry for 2020 was no exception to that. I was quite surprised when this won their national, actually, it was their online national selection as opposed to a national final. But perhaps I shouldn't have worried, because Benny Christo is sort of very well known in the Czech Republic and also in Slovakia, and well established and popular. He's also an actor, and also somewhat of a sportsman as well. He's and also an animal rights activist, so he's a man of many, many talents. His full name is Ben da Silva Cristóvão. His father was from Angola, and I think you can certainly hear some of those global musical influences in Kamama. And the song is all about dancing and embracing, dancing with confidence and embracing individuality. And it's a very uplifting song. Following the selection, it's fair to say, the song wasn't getting a huge amount of love from the typical Euro fandom. There's a lot of people that do their kind of my top, as I'm doing in some ways, but they do that as time goes on, and it wasn't doing particularly well in those. Not necessarily a reflection of how something does at Eurovision itself. And I think, but I do think there are others like myself who could see this was a lot better than I think it was being given credit for. I think it's also because it's not really necessarily from a genre that normally gets a lot of love within the fandom. But I think the live performance that he did in Ukraine, the Ukrainian national section, really shows how charismatic a performer he is and how well this would have come to life on a live stage. So I think it would have done a lot better. I think it could have done really quite well. There was a bit of a brouhaha over a revamp that was done, which did not go down very well. And the revamp had come about because of some online feedback, and I think the previous version was perfectly acceptable. I don't think it needed that much tweaking, and so I think Benny was planning possibly to revert to that when cancellation came. I think the lesson here is often for an artist to trust their instincts, and yes, and I think and I will be referring to the original version here and also my blog post as well, rather than the official Eurovision version, which is kind of the revamped version, which I don't think would have been the kind of the end result. Good news, though, is that Benny Christo is confirmed to be Czech Republic's artist for 2021. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what he brings next year and that energy and difference and diversity that he showed through with Kamama. So we continue our climb in the top 10. Come back and join us for the next pair soon.